Okay. Good evening, everyone. Please. Good evening, everyone. Please let me know if you can see my screen and if you can hear me. For those of us on YouTube, please, if you can see my screen and you can hear me clearly, can you can you let me know if you can see my screen and you can hear me? Okay. All right. Thank you very much, Enola. So today, because of time, we need to be fast with what we want to achieve as well. So please, for those on YouTube, I will need us to be responsive on time. Yeah. So let's quickly go into what we want to achieve today. So today we are going to be looking at data ingestion using Azure Data Factory. We're going to be using Data Factory to ingest data from from GitHub, right? So we're going to be using Data Factory to ingest data from GitHub, and this is the architecture that we're going to be using. So we have this, this architecture. Um, when you start working as a data engineer, so you will see that you have different data source, right? You have data coming from different location, like your SQL server, your CSV, your GitHub, your Excel, data coming from different location. So how do you move the data into the cloud environment? So we're going to be using GitHub today to move data from GitHub into the data lake into our data lake using Azure Data Factory. Then tomorrow, by God's grace, we'll move the data from data lake into the Azure SQL database, then connect to Power BI as well. So let's quickly so we're going to be copying data from GitHub to Azure Data Lake, blah blah blah. So these are the things that this is the major things we are going to be doing today. So this lesson is to teach us how to move data from GitHub directly into Azure Data Lake Gen 2 using ADF. We will build a simple automated pipeline that copy files one after the other. So what this pipeline does is that it's going to help you to copy several CSV files from GitHub into your ADLS Gen 2. So the pipeline is going to read the list of files, going to loop through each files and copy each files into your storage account. So that is what we're going to be doing. So so I already shared the high level architecture with you, which is this. This is the high level architecture already. So moving data from GitHub using Azure Data Factory to Data Lake Gen 2. So that is the high level architecture. So because of time, let's just go into the demo session immediately. Let's go into the demo session immediately. So please, if you can see my Azure portal, let me know if you can see my Azure portal. If you can see the Azure portal, can you type Azure? If you can see my Azure portal, type Azure. If you can see the Azure portal, let's type Azure. If you can see the Azure portal, let's type Azure for those on YouTube. I didn't get a response. Just want to be sure that we are following. Okay, all right, thank you. So yesterday we talked about resource group and we created a resource group yesterday. So today we are going inside the resource group. So I'm going to create Azure account because I deleted my Azure account yesterday. So I'm going to create a new storage account. So let's create a new storage account. That's the first thing we are going to create. So let's create a new storage account. So let's call it AI Now Storage. So my preferred storage is the blob storage. AI now storage account. So my primary workload, can leave this one for now. Performance is standard. Redundancy, I'm going to pick the locally redundancy. Okay, then let's go to advanced. So let's go to advanced. So under the advanced, I'm going to enable hierarchical namespace. It's very, very important. Then go to networking. There's nothing under the networking to set up. So let's review and create. Let's review and create. So let's create. So we are deploying the storage account already. So don't forget, we need the storage account. Why do we need the storage account? Because that is where we want to store our data. So we are creating a storage account because that is where we want to store our data. So it is very, very important that you create a storage account before you start your project. Your storage account is your data lake. That is your data lake, right? And when we talk about data lake, what is a data lake? A data lake is a repository or where you dump any kind of data, whether it is structured data, whether it is unstructured data, you put it in your Azure Data Lake. So you can see we have deployed the storage account. So let's go to resource. So now you can see our container. So let's create a container. So we call it AI now container. AI now container. So inside the container, let's create a directory, like a folder. So let's call it landing zone. So we have created a container called landing zone. Can you see? And inside the container, there is nothing there. So yesterday we uploaded some data into the container. So we will still upload, but we will leave it for now. Now, our goal is to move data. Our goal is to move data from GitHub into the Data Lake Gen 2 using Azure Data Factory. So that is our goal. So now I'll go back and let's create Data Factory. So Data Factory, let's create it. Let's create a Data Factory. So I'll click on create. We want to create a Data Factory. AI now Bootcamp. So I'll call it AI now Data Factory. Region, I'll pick South African North. Option 2. Git configuration, networking, public advanced. Okay, so let's review and create this. So we are creating the Data Factory. Data Factory is what we are going to use to move the data from GitHub into the data lake. So let me duplicate this. Okay, we have created the, so you can see we have created the data factory. We now have the data factory here. I want to expand this screen. Okay, let me remove this. Okay, so now we have created the data factory. So if you go to your, if you go to your, so let's open our storage account here. Then let's come here and let's go to our resource group. So under the resource group, you will see the data factory that we just created. Can you see the data factory? This is the data factory. This is the storage account. So let's open the data factory now. Now, the data factory is another service on its own. So let's launch it. Launch Studio. So let's launch this data factory. So this is our storage account. You can see that in our storage account, we have the container, then we have the landing zone, and there's no data here at the moment. So let's launch our data factory. So now, this is data factory. So under the data factory, what do we use data factory to do? We use data factory for what? For ingesting data, to copy data at a scale once or on a schedule. We also use data factory to orchestrate, to create a pipeline, to transform data, to configure SSIS as well. So these are the things that we use data factory to do, to achieve. So now, on the left hand side, we have different options. The author, this is where you create your pipeline, data set, data flow, Power Query. If you want to monitor, you use the monitor tabs here to monitor your data. If you want to manage, you use the manage here to manage anything you want to manage. And if you want to learn more about Azure, about data factory, you can come here to come and learn more about data factory, right? So now let's go back to the author. Now we have a data here. We have a data on GitHub. This is my GitHub. Please, can you all see my screen? For those of us on YouTube, can you see my screen? If you can see my screen, just type whatever you can see on my screen. Type it on the chat. Whatever you can see on my screen, just type it. Whatever you can see on the screen, type it. So that I will be sure that you guys can see my screen. Whatever you see on my screen, just type it. GitHub. All right. Okay. So now, yeah, that is where I am. I'm on GitHub. Yeah. So this is my GitHub. So I have 4 files there. I have date, agent, customer, and product. These are the 4 files that I have on my GitHub, right? Now, I want to ingest all this data from GitHub into my Azure account. Now, to do the injection, we need to use what? Azure Data Factory, because Azure Data Factory is an orchestration tool that we use to move data from one platform to another platform. So we're going to use Azure Data Factory to move the data, right? So now, the first thing you do when you get to Data Factory, so we need to create what they call link service. So we need to create what? Link service. We need to create link service. So that's the first thing that we need to do. So we need to create a link service. So I will go to under the monitor. No, is it monitor manage? Yeah, under the manage. Yeah, under the manage. So you can see link service here. You can see link service. So let's create a link service. We are going to create two link service. So I'm going to search for HTTP. Then I'll click on continue. So let's call this GitHub link service. So this is GitHub link service. So we want to link our Azure Data Factory with what? With GitHub. That is the first thing we want to do. We want to link our Azure Data Factory with GitHub. Then integration runtime. We're going to be using the auto resolve integration runtime. So this is the default one. If you are bringing data from your on-prem, from your laptop, you have to create another integration runtime called the self-hosted integration runtime. But for this one, we are using the auto-resolve integration runtime. So base URL. So what is the URL of the data we want to copy? So if you look at this data now, you can see that we have the date, the agent, the customer. So let's click on the agent, for example. Let's click on the agent. Now, when you click on the agent, you can see that this URL gives us the URL for this particular data, right? For the agent's data. But what I want is that I don't want this I don't want to get the URL for just only the agent. So I'm going to click on raw. I'll click on this raw. I'll click on this raw. So when I click on this raw, it's going to give me the URL. So you can see this URL now have raw. It has raw. So I'm going to copy everything here. Then I'll open my notepad. I'll paste it here. So what I'm going to do is that I will copy everything from here to this place. I will not put the agent.csv there. I'll copy everything. Then I'll go back to my Azure. So where we have the base URL, I will paste it here. So I will paste it here. So this is the base URL because I want to copy all the data from that repository. So authentication is what? Is anonymous because anybody can access it. But if you are working with organization, you can do basic so that you put password, username and password will be requested. So now let's test the connection. Let's test the connection. So you can see connection successful. So let's create. So we have created the GitHub link service. Now let's create another link service. So this time around, we are going to be creating Azure. We're going to be creating the data lake link service. So Azure Data Lake link service link service. So we want to link ADF, which is Azure Data Factory, to what? To the storage account. So we need to link them as well. So we're going to be using authentication type, account key, subscription. I will be using my subscription, storage account, AI Now storage account. So now let's test the connection as well. So you can see connection successful as well. So let's create. So we have created the two link services that we need for this project for now. These are the two link services that we need for now. So the next thing that we're going to do, So the next thing that we're going to do, I hope this is clear. For those on YouTube, is it clear? Is there any area that is not clear? Is it clear before I move on? Is it clear? I need our response. Is it clear? Is it clear? For those on YouTube, is it clear? Yes, it is clear. Okay, all right, thank you. So the next thing I will do, I will go to my author on the left. I'll go to author. I'll go to author. Then I'll go to data set. You see this data set here. So what I want to do is that I want to create a data set that is going to help us get the name. That's going to help us to get the name. That's going to help us to get the name of the files that we want to bring from GitHub. So it's going to help us to get the name of the file that we want to get from GitHub. So you know that we have 4 files here. I want to bring all the 4 files at the same time. We don't want to be bringing them one after the other. So we're going to create a data set to do that for us. So I will go to data set here. Then I'll click on new data set. So I'll type HTTP. I'll click on continue. Then what is the file type? The file type is what? Is a CSV. So I'll click on continue. So I will call this GitHub CSV. Then the link service that we created earlier. So we pick the link service. So it's asking for the relative URL. So this relative URL, we're not going to put anything here. You won't put anything here. Just click on OK. So now come to this place where we have parameter. Then come here and call it file name. Then leave it as a string. Then go back to your connection here. So where you have this relative URL, click on add dynamic content here. Then pick the file name that you created. Then click on OK. So that is all you need to do for this part. So let's create another one, another data set. I'd love to have the material for Azure setup. Okay, so which of the materials are you requesting for? Which of the materials are you requesting for? Sorry, please just give me 1 minute. I'm having, so just give me like 1 minute, guys. Okay, so I'm back now. Please, can you guys hear me? Can you all hear me? Sorry, can you all hear me? Let me try and let me get a response from you. Okay, you can all hear me. All right, that's good. That's good. All right. So now we have the relative URL, which we just did now. So we create a parameter. So let me go over that again. We created a parameter called file name because we want to get the file name of all the files that we have on our repository here, right? We want to get all the file name. So then we go back to our connection. So go to, you click on the file name that you created and you click on OK. So that is the first thing. So the next one that we're going to do is to create a new data set. So this time around, it's going to be for the Azure Data Lake because this is where the data is going into. The data is going into where? It's going into the data lake, right? The data is going into the data lake. All right, thank you guys for that clarification that you can hear me. So the data is going into the data lake. So I'm going to say CSV as well. Then let's click on continue. So this one, let's call it Azure let's call it ADLS CSV. So this is ADLS CSV, right? Then link service. You know, we created a link service earlier. So this is the link service. So let's pick the link service. Now it's going to ask you for the file path, directory, and the file name. So what is the file path so the file path here is your container. So let's go back to here. So you copy the name of your container. This is the container name. Copy the name of the container. Then you paste it here. Then directory. Your directory is your landing zone. Copy the name of the landing zone. You paste it here as well. Can you see? You paste it here as well. Now it's going to ask you for the file name. So you don't have the file name yet because you want to load the data from GitHub. Then ADF is going to help you to dump the data in your storage account. And you can say that in the storage account, we don't have any data in the storage account. So you can say that it is empty. It is empty. So let's click on OK. So here, you go to your parameter here as well. So under the parameter, we're going to create, so let's call this target name. Target name. So the name that we want to put it in our storage account. The name we want to put those files in our storage account. So we go back to connection here. Then under the file name, you have dynamic content. Then you pick the target name. You click on OK. So you can see. Now we have two data sets, GitHub and ADLS. The one from GitHub is getting the name from the GitHub. We are just creating a data set. Okay, what is the file name we want to use, right? What is the file name? Like, give us the file name that we have from GitHub. Then, how do you want to store the data in your storage account? So this is what the data set is doing. So once you have these two data sets created, the next thing you need to do is to now go to your pipeline. is to go to your pipeline. So you create a new pipeline. Can you say pipeline? New pipeline. So you can call it, so you can call the pipeline what? GitHub to ADLS. This is GitHub to ADLS. Or just say copy data from GitHub to ADLS. From GitHub to ADLS. That is the name of the pipeline. Right? So inside this pipeline, inside the pipeline now here, right? So we are going to go to variable here. The variable here. So we're going to click on new. So we are going to call it file list. The list of the file of the document that we have on our GitHub. Then we're going to change this one to array instead of string because we need to change it to array. Then we are going to go to under the activities here. Under the activities. So under the activities, we are going to search for set variable. Set variable. We're going to add it to this canvas. Then we will go into the settings. Then click on the file list here. Then it's going to ask us to add a files here, right? So what I would do is that we need to add all the file. So I'll copy everything. So so everything has to be inside list. So I will do Control V. So this is the date. So this has to be here, comma. Customer so this is going to be product. So this is product. Then let's close this. So what you do is that just copy everything here. Just copy this. So just copy this. Then go back to your variable and paste it here. Let me click on add dynamic content and put it here first. Expression of type does not match the field value. The set value is objects. Expression type of string does not match. Do we select string? settings, file lists. Okay. Sorry, I'm trying to check the error here. Dates. Okay. Product CSV. I don't know why it's showing an error here. Section of type string does not match the field value. Field type is objects. Okay, sorry, I'm trying to check what the error here is. I don't know what's wrong here. It's not supposed to be trying error. Let me see. Okay, let me check. What do we have here? His variable. This set variable is file list to file list. Okay, I don't know what is wrong here. Pattern variable. Set variable name. Should be this file list, yes. Okay, the value for okay, I don't know why this is showing an error here. Let's see. Okay, list. Okay, let me check something here. Let me stop sharing the screen. Okay, let me just share something. Okay, so let me, I don't know what is wrong here. Let's check here. Please let me know if you can see my screen now. Please let me know if you can see my screen. .csv. Customer CSV. Okay. Customer CSV. Okay, so let's see this product. And that is true. I don't know why that one is showing an error. So let's try and fix this. So let's see. The expression does not match. Okay, so that's set variable. I don't know why this is showing an error like this. Okay, let me go back to the. Okay, this is um, this is an array, right? Then the set variable supposed to be um, file list, yes. Then this supposed to be this. Let me see. Okay, let me cancel this and um, let's just use. Let me delete this. Let me delete this. String should be array. Okay, I'm coming. Let me go back. Let me go back and I don't know what is wrong with this thing. So let's check this one again. File list. File list. Then this is array. Okay. Then come back here. Settings. Okay, I think it's okay now. Yeah, it's okay now. Okay, I think it's fine now. I don't know what is wrong actually before, but it should be fine now. Okay, so now let's proceed. Let's proceed. So now after we create the file list, so these are the name of the file: date, agent, customer, product. These are the files that we have. Stop presenting. Share screen. Please let me know if you can see my screen. I lost that connection of sharing screen. Please let me know if you can see my screen. So this is how the file is in our GitHub: date, agent, customer, and product. These are the way the file is here, right? So now let's proceed. Let's go back to the Azure Data Factory. So can you see my screen now? Before I proceed, can you see my screen now? Okay, okay. So you can see my screen now. That's good. So I just put the name, the file name here. That's the only thing I did. All right. So I didn't do anything special actually. So go back to your. What I did is that I went back to my variable, declared this as an array, then come back here. This is a file list. Then I put in the names of the files, right? So the next thing that I'm going to do is to add. So I will add for each here. For each, then I will connect this to this one. I will go to the settings of this for each, go to settings, then I'll click on this, then go to add dynamic content. So I'll go to variable. So I'll add the file list, then click on OK. So this is going to help you to iterate all the file lists that you have in your set variable, right? It's going to help you to um, it's going to help you to look into all the file lists that you have in your set variable. It's going to look into it here. So then you come to this your for each activities. You go to into ed for each activities. Then you bring in your copy data. Then you go to your source. What's our source data set? Our source is what? GitHub. Then file name, hard dynamic content. So I'm going to say for each item in the list. Then I'll go to sync ADLS. So this for each activity here as well. So that is that. So for now, let's leave this one. So now let's debug. So let's see what is going to happen. So now let's debug. So let's test our pipeline. So the pipeline is currently running. Can you see? It's currently running. Please, can you hear me? Please, can you all hear me? Okay. So the pipeline is now succeeded. You can see all the pipeline is successful. Can you see? All the pipeline is successful. So now let's go back to our container. Let's go back to our ADLS. Now you can see that there's nothing here yet. So let's just refresh. Let's refresh. If it's taking time to refresh, let's just refresh the entire page. So let's check the landing zone. So can you see now? You can see the default data that we have from, you can see date, agent, customer, and product. So you can see the data. So you can see the data. So that is how you move data from different location into your ADLS Gen 2. Then so once you are done publishing your work, when you are done debugging, everything is successful. Make sure you save your work. So how do you save your work? To save your work, you must make sure that you publish it, because if you did not publish it, if you come back here tomorrow, or maybe you close these tabs, you will not, all the work you did, you have to start all over again. So you must make sure that you publish your work. So let's publish it. So you make sure that you publish it. Publish. So it's currently publishing. So publishing completed. So if you close this tab now and you come back tomorrow, you will see meet this pipeline here. So that is that, and that is all we have for today. So tomorrow, okay, maybe another thing that I will show you is that I think I already showed you that one. If you want to upload data manually, so let's just upload all the data. So you can also upload data manually here instead of using pipeline. So you can also upload data manually instead of using ADF. So let's use the data from here. So let's upload all this data. Let's upload there. Upload. So you can upload data manually as well. So tomorrow, I'm going to show you how to move the data from Data Lake Gen 2 into Azure SQL database and do the data cleaning and connect with Power BI. So that's what we'll do tomorrow. So any question? Any question from anyone? Any question? Any question? Any question? Do you have any question? Any question? Any question? Any question? Please, can you? Someone said, "Do not get how I connected the pipeline." This is how I connected it. If you want to connect it, if you want to connect it, you drag it. You see this one? You drag it. Can you see? You can drag it. You drag it. Can you see? You drag it. So you drag it. So that's how I connected it. So any other question? Any other question? Any other question? Do we have any other question from anybody? Okay, so if there's no other question, I think that's where we'll stop today. Then we'll continue tomorrow by God's grace. So don't forget that if you don't have question, I have question for you. Tomorrow you will get your quiz. So make sure that you watch the videos and go through the slide. Everything that I did, I've already documented it already. So make sure you follow the slide and just do exactly the same way. All right. So see you guys tomorrow by God's grace. Have a wonderful evening.